Namaskaram everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have a very dear Hatha Yoga teacher from Australia. Namaskaram Ramy Anna.
Namaskaram everyone.
Yes. So before we go into the podcast, I would just like to tell the audience the audio version of this, since it's going to be a long podcast, I hope will be available on Spotify, Anchor and Apple Podcasts. So Anna, with your permission, can we go into the podcast?
Yes, of course. Let's go.
So Anna, Jyotsnaka has been behind me. You have to take Ramy Anna's podcast. So here we are, and a big shout out to Jyotsnaka also. So Anna, with your permission, where should we start it from? I would really love to know about your childhood, and that's where we audience like to go, like before the Hatha Yoga, not the yogi. We want the small.
Yeah. It's gonna be audience caption 18 plus. Yeah? I grew up. I had pretty regular childhood. I grew up in a small town in Czech Republic. That's in Europe. Back then it was Czechoslovakia. So I had a normal childhood. Was pretty happy. I was very active when I was a child. I was doing a lot of sports. So sports and anything physical, I was always. It was very easy for me to get that.
What kind of sports, Anna?
Sports, yeah, soccer. I did some martial arts when I was in high school. I could basically do any type of sport because my parents would always provide the opportunities, and they would always push me to do as many sports as possible. Both of my parents, they love sports, so it was in our family. And my sister wasn't that inclined to that aspect so much. So my mom was always like...
what is that? What inclined? I didn't get that.
My sister wasn't that inclined to sports.
Oh, that inclined. Okay, right.
My parents just put it on me, and I was always happy with that. There's absolutely no spiritual seat in my family at all. So that was when I was growing up. Yoga, there was no yoga in my town, pretty much. Maybe there were some basic exercise yoga classes, but I've never been exposed to any type of yoga or spirituality my whole childhood, or even in my 20s. That wasn't really anything. So my life was just ordinary. I was doing what everybody else was doing in my town and in my country. That means drinking a lot of beer and doing all these partying hard.
What is the favorite cuisine in Czech Republic? Like, what do you guys usually have?
To drink or
drink and eat? Like, what is the main
drink? Similar to our food is similar to German food. So it's a lot of slow cooked vegetable and meat. So it's quite tasty, but very, very unhealthy. But this is just the diet I grew up with. So there was no kind of choice. It was just what I was used to. And of course, in my country, you're not a man unless you don't drink a beer.
Oh.
So this is kind of the atmosphere you grew up in, and so it's quite narrow approach to how you eat and how you're supposed to grow up. Things I get changed. I was at university, and the second year of my university, I've decided I want to go somewhere far away, and Australia was really far away. So that was opportunity for me to get out of my small town and small country. I just wanted to go and explore. I had too much energy. I've been to the US a couple of times for a summer job, and I just wanted to go somewhere far away. And here in Australia, there was one person I knew. He kind of helped me with some basic accommodation, and so I arrived not really speaking English, with no working experiences. Wasn't a smart move. Always
is it? It's like very always, no one in your town usually moves out.
That's because my parents, or all our parents, would live in communism. They didn't have the opportunity to get out, to travel, or to just go wherever they wanted to. So I guess that's why the older generations are pushing the younger generations, go travel, explore. We didn't have the chance. If we had the chance, we would do that. So my parents were quite supportive in that aspect. actually, I just sent my mom a message that I'm going to Australia for 2 years, and that was it basically. There's no big discussion. Just I'm going away. I'll be back in a couple of years. It's been 15 years. I'm still here. But that's it's a long story. Yeah. So I came to Australia about 15 years ago. Like I said, I didn't even speak the English. I've never really worked, had a proper job in my life because I came straight from a uni, which I didn't finish because I wanted to move over here. I just started to. It was basically just about survival in the first year or two. Just I was living with other Czech people. That didn't help my English. But after a year and a year and a half, I moved away from them, and I started living with a girlfriend. She was Aussie, and she was Australian, so that would help me to get better at English. I would one of my first jobs here, I think I was a removalist. That doesn't require much talking, just lifting, so that was fine for me. Then I started working in hospitality as well. I had I was washing dishes with other two Bangladeshi guys. So it was me and those two, and then they called immigration on each other, and so they.
Oh my God! Is it they called immigration on each other?
Yeah, there's competition apparently in dishwashing business between amongst the Bangladeshi or Indians. Okay. But anyway, I just I started doing jobs which didn't require any real skills or language. And as I was working, I would get slightly better job which would require a little bit more skill and a little bit more English, and like this I started progressing into better positions. So I spent almost 5 years in hospitality doing various kind of jobs, bartending, just waiter, working as a waiter, working in like a hospitality clubs. I've also ended up in corporate catering, which is a little bit more comfortable than working in a restaurant, which can be a really hard work. And after 5 years of working in hospitality, I decided I'm gonna go into fitness, because that's always been part of my life.
I want to ask you how you are so fit. A lot of men would be listening to this. They would want a body like you, even me. So what is the secret?
You turn up for your workout. So fitness has always been part of my life ever since I've started walking. I was playing some sports or kicking some ball. So I wanted to become a personal trainer, fitness trainer, and that as I was working in my hospitality job, I was studying to become a personal trainer on the side. That took me about a year. Then I pretty much got a job in a gym straight away. So that was another chapter of my life, pretty much transitioning from hospitality into fitness. At the same time, when I started fitness, when I was 25, I think, I had some sort of a spiritual awakening, which just happened to me. I didn't do anything. It's just a certain level of awareness came back into my life. That was kind of the start of my spiritual journey. Don't exactly know what happens, but a certain level of awareness just came back to me, and suddenly I started reading a lot of spiritual books. I was really thirsty to know more about myself, about those basic questions. What am I doing here? What a lot of things were happening to me energetically as well at that time, which I couldn't explain. So it was a lot of confusion in the beginning, as well as thirst to know more. That's kind of what brought me to.
What happened exactly? Can I ask you, like, take a little back, like during that, like what happened? Like
it's hard to describe. I was just sitting in the room, and there's just this massive amount of energy and awareness just came back out of nowhere. I knew for like 2 weeks I had a really intense feeling that something is about to happen. I just didn't know what. I was just sitting in the room looking around, and something was happening. Then I kind of, looking back now, it wasn't happening around me, it was happening within me. But back then I was not interested in spirituality or yoga. That was just some silly stretching exercise back then. And it's just a lot of changes happened internally at that time. and that completely changed the orientation of my life. I started naturally looking inward. I started looking or seeking. I didn't know what I was seeking. I just know I had this very urge or intense feeling that I need to know more. I need to explore something, find something. And so I started reading a lot of books. And one of the books, I basically like never read any books in my life. And here I am ordering 5-6 books from the internet, just reading one after another.
Which books, Anna? I think the audience would like to know.
Those were sort of random books, completely random books. And one of the books was Sadhguru's book. I think it was the Mystics, Midnights with the Mystics. So that was the very first book I've read from Sadhguru. That's basically how I found him, or kind of he found me. You know? And after I've read that one, I've also read Mystics Musings, which is a kind of, that's a pretty heavy book. So I kind of resonated with what he was talking about in the books, but still it was just intellectual knowledge. And I've kind of recognized after a year of reading any numerous number of books that it's not really getting me anywhere. And I'm naturally physical. I like to do things. I'm more oriented toward action rather than intellectual things. So I started looking for something practical, and I wandered on Isha website, because in the book there's an address to website. So I went there. I remember the first time I was reading about in engineering, it kind of didn't interest me that much. It just sounded like a lot of theory. So I didn't even finish reading the description. Then I came back to it, I think like 2 weeks later. And I'm just, I was like, had this intense feeling, I have to do something. I'm looking for something. And I'm reading the description of in engineering again. And then I come down to that where it says, I'm going to learn a practice Shambhavi Mahamudra. And that's what I was looking for. I didn't read further. I just registered, and that was it. I knew this was what I was looking for. I had no idea what it was. I've never done yoga in my life. I just knew that was what I had to do. And back then, here in Sydney, in engineering would only happen once a year, because Isha started in Australia 2010, I believe. And this course was the second in engineering course here in Sydney. Oh. So it was quite lucky that when I was reading about the course, it was happening in about 2 or 3 weeks time. I still have a photo on my wall from that program. I think it was about 20 people. That was it. These days,
is it there in this room? You can show at the end of the video.
It's not here. I've got it around the corner somewhere. So that was kind of the core of Isha Australia, which was formed 10 years ago. And Isha has been growing ever since. I've done a lot of volunteering, and we're still in touch with a lot of the people from that course. Quite few of the people are the major volunteers here in Australia, and there's some Hatha Yoga teachers. So it was a important kind of foundation of Isha here, which happened here 10 years ago. Where are we now?
How was it? So how was that program? Like, what actually happened?
Okay, nothing happened.
Nothing.
I had some certain experiences during the awakening I had when I was 25. I even spontaneously left my body for several seconds, and I had no idea what was happening. Fortunately, I had a friend with me. He kind of explained me what leaving body is about. So when I went to in engineering, I thought that's what's gonna happen, that I'm gonna go to some different dimension, because that was the only thing I knew back then. I've never done, I didn't know anything. So I had some expectations, like, I don't know, something's gonna activate, and so I go through the program. I think I was the only one who paid upfront, by the way. So I was just like so sure that this is the thing I have to do. I did it. All I got was a lot of back pain. Back then, I had a bit of an issue with my back. So that's pretty much that's all what was happening. The first 2 years of my practice was just a back pain. But there was something within me which just made me to do the practice every day without any exception. So I would just do my sadhana every day. And it wasn't really doing anything, of course, initially I had a lot of expectations. You read in the books what things are possible. If you read 5 or 10 spiritual books, you're gonna have so many expectations in your head, and you're gonna read about so many miracles you can do with your body and mind, and then all you get is a back pain. It's a bit disappointing, of course, but I just never gave up. Even many times I just felt like it's not doing anything. I didn't understand why should I be doing this every day, but there was something within me which just kept me going. So that was kind of the beginning of my spiritual journey. Just a lot of back pain and a lot of expectations, but also unfortunately I've put in a lot of hard work as well, which paid off years later when I did Bhavaspandana. I don't know if I should talk about the specifics of the program here. By the way, just wanted to mention that so I was volunteering in the early years of my spirituality. That would be after I've done in engineering here in Sydney. I would be volunteering for Isha Foundation here in Sydney, Australia. But there wasn't much to do actually, because the course would only happen once or twice a year. But I went to the ashram for the first time. I don't know which year was it, maybe 2012 or 13. I went to the ashram to Coimbatore. Yeah, I went to the ashram in Coimbatore, and I did Shakti Chalana Kriya program there, which again, nothing happened, but like, nothing needs to happen. It's just a certain practice, but of course, you just want something to happen in the beginning. Right. It's just natural. By the way, I came back from the ashram, and I already decided I wanted to go back for a longer time, but I had to finish certain commitments here in Sydney. I had to finish my job. I basically just threw everything out of my window, which I didn't need, and just kept one backpack. And I went to India was planning to go for longer. I ended up volunteering for 3 years.
Where? In ashram? You were in ashram for 3 years?
Yes, yeah. 2013 to 16, I spent there 3 years volunteering, and I was part of the homeschool. Again, I ended up doing what I've been doing the whole life. I ended up being a sports teacher there in a homeschool, which was pretty fun. I was working with the kids, yelling at them so they have to run and get fit. That was okay. I don't mind yelling at people to get fit. So that was pretty fun. That allowed me to, experience ashram to the fullest. So while I was there, I did a lot of things, a lot of volunteering, a lot of different activities, a lot of work on myself as well. So I'm really fortunate I had this opportunity to spend there 3 years, because I know many people would love to go spend time there, but they have commitments at home. It's just not everybody has to, or there is a virus these days. Yeah, so a lot of people are not getting the same opportunity I had, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to become a Hatha Yoga teacher, to make this available to other people who can't go to India, spend so much time there like I did. I think I wanted to go back to Australia, but I wanted to bring part of ashram with me and possibly offer it to other people. So that's so far has been successful. So I've started my own studio, and it's a beautiful place. But it's a work in progress, of course. I've opened the studio 6 weeks before the virus came last year, in January 2020. So it was a very
one with the big Sadhguru painting. I've seen it gets shared a lot.
That's the one. Yeah. So it is a very
Who did that? Who did that? And how did you get the
I've
idea for that?
hired a local artist to do that. That was pretty spectacular. Yeah, we have a big shutter door from a warehouse, so I'm living in an old warehouse conversion. It's a beautiful space with a really high ceiling, wooden beams, and exposed bricks inside. And from the outside, there's a garage door, which a local artist painted with Sadhguru's as a Sadhguru photo. And it's really big. It gets attention, and every time you know, Uber and the food delivery drivers from India pass, they always like, oh, he's from India. I'm like, I know. So that was I was really happy about that, because it kind of puts Sadhguru on the scene. It got a lot of attention, and Sadhguru does a lot of things for us, so I thought I would do something for him as well.
So now, how was the Hatha Yoga teacher training? A little bit, whatever you can share. So there are a lot of people who want to do Hatha Yoga teacher training. There's a lot of expectation from it, but can you tell like what is it actually is, and like why you did it?
For me, I already knew all the practices, so I wasn't kind of worried about the sadhana part. I knew I'm gonna enjoy that. There's lots of yoga, but if anybody's kind of scared that they can't do that amount of yoga, it happens gradually. So even if you're a complete beginner, you can still attend the program. They have it very well structured. They guide you through it very well in a progressive way. So even if you have injuries, or even if you have certain weaknesses, you don't have enough confidence in your physical body, it's still possible for you to do it. It's not gonna be maybe easy, but it's possible. I was more worried during the training about the becoming a teacher part. I wasn't trusting my brain so much like I did my body. Last time I had to remember something was many years ago. But again, the course is structured really well. So as long as you're not, as long as you stay focused, as long as you're not doing some monkey business around, it's a beautiful way, not just how to become a teacher, how to grow internally, and how to take advantage of spending so much time in ashram, which can change you in many different ways for the rest of your life. But it's individual. Everybody will have different experiences, and everybody will go through it differently. But anybody can come out a little bit shinier and more blooming, a little bit more. And bending forward a little bit more too.
So from there to your first class, and I noticed that for Hatha Yoga teacher, the first class is like very. So was there something like that from the Hatha Yoga
class
teacher?
was actually at my parents' house. I just did a small class for 2 people, for my mom and my cousin. I think it was just like a little. That was just a demo class basically. It wasn't for real. When I came back from my training, I started teaching at, there's another teacher here in Sydney. His name's Abhishek. He has a studio in Parramatta. So I was teaching there, and that given me opportunity to become a better teacher and to learn some basics of running a business as well. These are 2 different things. Being a teacher and running a business, those are 2 very different things. That's something people need to keep in mind.
Right.
If there's not that many opportunities to teach, there's very few places where you can actually really get into teaching. So that was great in the beginning to get spend some time there. But always I'm very stubborn, so I like to do things my way. So after several months working there, I was I already knew I just want to run my own business. Always been inclined to that, so to start my own business. So I just found this beautiful but very expensive place, and I just opened my own studio. Not really. I've done a business budget, and I planned everything properly for another place, which was on the other side of the town. I did all the budget and planning and everything. That original place didn't work out for certain reasons. But then I was just browsing, and I saw this place, and for this place I didn't do anything. I just liked it and just took it. I'll take this one. It's very unique. There's nothing like this around here. Yeah, maybe one day you will see.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I actually want to be there physically. Like I've seen it so beautiful in the page only that you have. Yeah. So can you talk about Instagram page? Like where can they find you? Like I'm sure they want to see that Sadhguru right now.
Yeah, we have Instagram page, Facebook page, we have website as well. Yeah. So if you go to our website, actually there's links to our social media platforms where you can follow us. I'm not that active on Instagram. I'm not into social media myself too much. Like to do a lot of posts. I'm not into it that much. I have to do it because it's part of the business. I have to force myself always to do some posts. Not that effective in that aspect. But still, you'll find a lot on our Facebook and Instagram.
So what kind of programs do you means now because of lockdown, I guess, but before, like when you started, like
yeah, right now we're in like 70. We've been 70 days in hard lockdown right now.
Is it?
So okay. It's the most extensive lockdown we've had so far. It's pretty. You can only go in 5-kilometer radius from where we live, and fortunately we can go outside and meet one person. So that's what I've been doing for the past few weeks. I've been teaching one-on-one in parks. Okay. That's the only thing we're allowed to do. That's keeping me quite busy because a lot of people are interested in that. A lot of people meet me just for a practice class, or I've been even teaching some programs outside. It's not the ideal way to do it, but right now a lot of people are looking for support in yoga. So I'm trying to do the best I can. Just to give them the opportunity to learn this ancient science. And it's really nice, weather is really nice these days, so it's a bit different to do it outdoor, being in touch with the 5 elements. So it's just another way. I've never done that, to teach outside, and not even to run a practice class. So that's something the virus or COVID-19 has given me, just another way how to another perspective on how we can teach classes. It's always good. So it's been a lot of readjusting, creating. I've had to be really creative ever since I started the business, because there was one lockdown. There was always something. Doesn't stop. You always have to find a new way how to adjust to new situations, which is why I enjoy running a business on my own. Fortunately, I've also had a lot of people who helped me on the way, without whom I wouldn't probably be here. So it's really important, I guess, that would be one advice for anyone who wants to start a business or a studio. Just find people who align with your vision, find people who believe and who understand what you're doing, and then they will help you in so many different ways. Some people help financially, some people help with their knowledge, some with their time. And once you create this core group of people who are basically the core of the business, then you can start expanding the student platform basically. So it's been a slow and steady growth, but it takes time for everything. I'm still within the first 2 years of the business, and we've been in 2 bad lockdowns already, and I'm still here. And if I survive this, I think I can survive anything pretty much.
Awesome, Anna. So now, like one question, like I get a lot is like some people are not able to connect with inner engineering, or sometimes it's not Hatha Yoga also. So they feel like dropping the practices. So there, should I drop the practices? So in your journey, have you ever faced that doubt whether the practices are working? Like, even though I'm doing so much sadhana, is it working? Or like, how do you make over it? Or like, how do you get over that, that times of doubt?
As a teacher, I encounter this all the time. Yeah. Different people connect with different practices. Some people will not connect with the practice at all. So it's very hard to find explanation and motivation. Why should they continue? For me, it's never been an issue. Even if I have a bad day, I don't want to do it, I still do it. There's a certain discipline within me, or I can't even explain it, but I always just get up and do it. But a lot of people don't have that. So it's just in that case, this is where some intellectual understanding, I guess, it's important. This is why it's good to follow Sadhguru. If you understand why you're on this journey, where is he leading to, you might more likely to stay on the path. So it's good to sit down with the students sometimes, ask them, why isn't that working, and whatever they've been through, I've already been through that myself. If they complain about pain, I always tell them, I spent the first 2 years just in back pain. So, and I've done the journey myself from the beginning, so I understand their obstacles and always try to help them. And some people, they listen to me. Some people, they just need to be heard, and some people need to find their own way. Personally, I don't understand their journey. I don't even clearly understand my journey. I'm just kind of devoted to Sadhguru, and he will take care of it. But they may not have that. They may not have that belief in the beginning. So there's lots of the beginnings are very confusing. That's why it's important to have let's say a yoga studio in your neighborhood, or even, it doesn't have to be a studio. It can be a teacher or a volunteer who will guide you in the beginning, because not everybody will initially connect with Sadhguru. Some people connect with Sadhguru, some people connect with what he says. It can be a quote, it can be a local teacher or volunteer. So there's many different ways how the devotees can find the support in the beginning, and it's all working like one big organism. And Sadhguru is kind of filling all the gaps in between, and it's just one big amazing thing to be part of this.
Awesome, Anna. So thank you so much. Have I missed asking you something? That's what I'm like. Have I missed something? Have I missed something? Is there something else you want to share?
Oh, I mean, that would be a lot. I think we've covered the most things.
Yeah. So I think we will, if the audience has any more questions for Ramy Anna, you can put it in the comments, and then if there are enough, we will do another podcast. If Ramy Anna's if there is Ramy Anna's friends watching this, please put in the comment section what all he omitted, like the fun parts.
And if anybody needs any advice on how to become a teacher, or any advice on how to start a studio, branding, or any business.
So yes, I forgot that, Anna. You have a, like, in your studio, no, it's not only yoga, you do something else, right? You help teachers. What is that? Like, you shoot video shoots or photo shoots you do for them?
No, I basically just run Hatha Yoga. Sometimes people rent my studio out to do their own things, but that would only happen like once or twice. Otherwise, the studio is busy every day. Pretty much, we run classes all weekend, evening, morning, and the studio is also available for people or our students to come in the morning and do their practice in silence.
Oh, okay.
That's basically the same way it's done in the ashram. Basically, every morning sadhana time. But there's no guidance in the morning. It's just it's the way it's traditionally practiced in India, just in silence. That's a very beautiful way how to start a day.
So is there a Sannidhi, or like you have created a space?
Yes, we have a Sannidhi. We do Sannidhi puja regularly, so that really makes a big difference on how the whole space is energized and conducted.
So awesome. Okay, so can you talk a little bit about Sannidhi before I leave you, so that people have a lot of queries about Sannidhi and you know what it is?
Sannidhi is such an energized form. Sadhguru has consecrated for anyone who would like to take kind of Sadhguru in his energy home. It's a very supportive, it will create a very supportive space for your spiritual growth. So I think, as he explains this is not so much oriented towards the physical benefits of well-being like Linga Bhairavi does it. This is more about inner growth, about connecting with Sadhguru's energy, inviting him into his space and into your space and into your life. And pretty much, even just sitting in the space, it will make you more meditative. And doing any yoga practice in that space will make it more beneficial, more effective. So if you have a little bit of space you can spare, maybe you can remove your television and replace it with Sannidhi. It's definitely worth it.
So thank you so much, Anna, for coming on the podcast and spending your valuable
Welcome.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. So I hope to see you in Australia soon.
Please come over.